Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
Me, Mark, and Luke went through to beat the Dodgers in the NLDS.
This is our dad's and grandfather's 1980 Astros series that we've heard about so many times. This is what that feels like.
Yeah, I'm still jealous that they were able to watch Game 5 of the 1980 NLCS. I mean, it seemed like the greatest game that's ever played.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Spread right here on the Eagles Pin Pull Network. This is a very special edition, folks. This is where usually we come on. Yeah, I like the Eagles -3.5. You know, I like over 62.5. Boise State, Notre Dame. This is a Red October edition of Saturday Morning Spread, the most special edition we've done so far of Saturday Morning Spread. I am your host, as always, Mark Henry Jr., NFL. But today, it's not about the NFL. It's about the Phils. We've got my guys, my co-hosts for the day, up top on the right, Luke Arcaini. You can follow him on Twitter at Arcaini Luke. Luke, how we feeling?
Feeling good. I'm gearing up. I'm trying to not let it all out yet, but I'm very, very amped up for 6:38.
And on our top left, we've got a guy who's locked in for Red October. We've got a very special guest, Jack Fritz. You can follow him on Twitter at Jack Fritz WIP. Jack, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well. Counting down the seconds. And hopefully there's not a strong reaction to a simple voiceover for narration video today like there was yesterday. We're all having a good time. I'm aware I don't have the biggest big game voice. I'm a relaxed fella, so we don't need to address the elephant in the room. I'm getting it out of the way early, but excited to be here. Long time coming. Mark, I feel like I've talked to your dad since about 2018 when we were on the evening show with Gilio, and a long time coming. So excited to be here.
Yeah, it's absolutely a long time coming. And for those who don't know, a brief backstory. Back when I popped off a little bit, the 2021 Hawks Sixers series, Jack found me through the Barstool stuff I was doing and through the Twitter stuff with my when my girlfriend, now my wife at the time, was undefeated going to Philadelphia sporting events until, the Sixers ripped my heart out, as they rip all of our hearts out. At least we don't even have hope anymore. But a team we do have hope in is our fighting Phils, our Philadelphia Phillies. And in the last couple years, we've been able to, I guess the last 2 years, I'll say, you're easing into the postseason, where last year we had the NLDS playing against the Mets, where we felt like they were probably going to lose going in. We didn't have a lot of hope going in, but the only hope you had in your back pocket is like, oh, this Mets team, they're not that good. They're hot, but whatever. The year before, you start with maybe the worst playoff team we've ever seen in the 2023 Miami Marlins until maybe this year's Reds. But this time, we're coming out of a slumber of a bye week here and playing the team in the preseason that we thought, is this team going to win 120 games? Is this team going to be the best team of all time? And here we are. I kind of talked myself in throughout the year, like, the Dodgers aren't that scary. Like, they only have 90 wins and we have more wins than them, whatever the case may be. Then when you get to the doorstep of a Dodgers matchup and you're looking at the four starters and you're looking at the lineup, especially the top of the lineup, you're like, oh, man, maybe this is the team that I should be a little afraid of. Jack, what's the fear level in the Dodgers right now?
So the word fear, I don't want to say, because they can beat this Dodgers team. It's just like they're really good. They're a really, really good baseball team. And I was like you, Mark. I watched that series out in LA and the Phils went out there. The Phillies went out there, landed at 3:30 in the morning, were in bed at 6 in the morning, got up, whatever. They win a ball game, a back and forth ball game, and get to celebrate the NL East title, and then come back the next night in the hangover game and beat them again. And I left that series being like, it's not their year. They don't have it. And then bang, what they win, 9 of 11 to end the season. Even So the Reds series, it was obviously pretty impressive, but there was also moments there that the Reds could have gotten into it, and they could have made it more of a competitive series. So the fear is for me that last year was the year that they broke through and the dam breaks, and now the Dodgers are just going to be this team that kind of coasts during the regular season, have enough talent to win 90-plus games, get in, and they know what to do in October. But it's daunting, and going through it, you feel like the Phillies heading into most series have the advantage of starting pitching. We're not sure if they have the advantage of starting pitching in this series. Advantage in bullpen. I think the Dodgers have this year a bad bullpen, but also they can now add Sasaki in there, who could have figured it out. Emmett Sheehan, who we saw shove against this team. Now, people are going to say Kershaw. I'm dying to get Kershaw in a playoff game. There's no doubt about it. I want playoff Kershaw to melt down at CBP. And Glasnow. I mean, Glasnow is probably going to come out of the pen today. It seems like that's what the Dodgers are kind of leaning towards. So we're not sure they have the advantage of the pen. And then you would like, okay, well, do they have the advantage in the stars? And even at every single position, DH, they have Ohtani. First base, they have Freeman. Shortstop, they have Mookie. So depth in lineup, they have Andy Pages, who I've said on the pod, I think he's one of the most underrated good players in baseball, So it's daunting. And there's always Phillies killer Michael Conforto, who has been horrible, just lurking off the bench. And this is going to come down to Kepler and Conforto coming off the bench, and who's going to have a big hit.
I sure hope it doesn't. So, it feels like everyone's kind of treating this like this is the World Series. Like, I think the consensus right now is these are the best two teams in baseball. And one, I think it's unfortunate that this is only a 5-game series. I think this series deserves to be 7. But, Jack, I think when Wheeler went down, I think it's crazy to think how confident we still are in the rotation, even with losing Wheeler. How do you feel about Sanchez? I think you're kind of in the same boat as I want Luzardo to go game 2, but how confident do you feel in Sanchez? Because I think it's pretty crazy. I think 3 years ago sending Christopher Sanchez out against Shohei Ohtani in game 1 of the NLDS, maybe we have an advantage there on the mound. Like, I don't know. I think it's crazy. Where are you at with Sanchez right now?
Yeah. Well, it's funny until I see him melt. Like, it was so funny. Do you remember that game out in Arizona in 2021, maybe, where he had the bases? I think he walked the bases loaded or something like that, and then walked in a run. And I remember sitting there saying he can't mentally do it. He's not mentally tough enough to pitch at the big league level. And to go from that moment where you throw in the towel on Chris Sanchez, and that was out of the bullpen. I don't think he was starting. To he's going to finish second in El Cy Young. It's unbelievable. But I think with Sanchez, until I see him not do it, I'm going to have a ton of confidence in Chris Sanchez to go out there and do a job today. He's got good numbers against Ohtani, and I think you would have seen him start to crack a little bit after the Wheeler injury, because now he knows it's his game. He's game 1. He's going to start game 1 of the postseason series outside of needing him to pitch the Sunday and then pitching a wild card. He knew from that point on the burden is on his shoulders as the number 1, and we didn't really see him crack. He had that series up in New York. Who knows if he was tipping? Who knows it was very uncharacteristic, but he answered the call. So I can't wait to see what he does today. I think baseball is starting to come around to, oh my gosh, Chris Sanchez guy's pretty good. And I think against Ohtani is a huge marquee spot. And then yes, this is a Luzardo safe space. If there's the biggest Luzardo heads in the world, I need him starting tomorrow. On Monday. I can't wait. Playoff Luzardo in front of that crowd is going to be amazing.
The moment that we got Luzardo, I've been nerding out with Jack and Luke ever since then. I've loved Luzardo back since his Oakland days. So the full circle for him to be pitching game 2 here, we think they're going to announce that today. We think he'll be game 2. And then we have the game 3, game 4 situation with Ranger, Nola up in the air. The way Topper's talking, it seems like Topper is very much wanting to throw Nola in a big spot, probably in game 3. Do you think that is just a flat out Topper thinks Nola's the third best option, or do you think it does wrap in with Ranger potentially being that arm out of the pen? Or is that just something Topper's saying to excuse throwing Nola as the game 3 starter? Like, what's kind of your thought on what they should do and what you think Topper is doing?
So I would start Ranger. There's no doubt about it. But, just trying to read the tea leaves here a little bit, it really does seem like he's going to go. Like it's so vintage, right? It's trending towards no way. You cannot start him. Easily not pitching in the NLDS. I understand starting him in the NLCS because he's a $172 million starter. And you knew when that fastball was showing a little life in that twin start, Topper was like, hold on. Are we sure? Are we sure? So it's actually one of the worst things that could have happened to the team was his last start of the season. Oh my gosh. But I really think he's going to start him game 3 and they're going to use Ranger. And listen, all right, so let's look at it from their perspective. If Nola can give you 4 out in LA, it gives the Dodgers a semi-different look. And I do wonder that with game 2. I know we all think it's going to be Luzardo. I wonder if they try to overthink it a little bit and think, okay, Sanchez is a power lefty. Do we want to change it up a little bit and go Ranger game 2? Because it's like, it's a different kind of left-handed pitcher, even though the profiles are semi-similar, just velocity down a little bit. And then do they go Luzardo as like the Andrew Miller sick stuff out of the bullpen? Maybe they go that route. I don't know. But I really think that if Nola can just go the first time through the lineup out in LA, I don't think he's going to be fazed by the pressure. And then they go Ranger to get them through the middle portion of the game. And then Strom, Duran to close it out. Maybe that's what they're thinking. The thing that I find so like confusing, I guess, in a way, is it does seem like they want to do this piggyback thing with Ranger and using in the bullpen in game 1. Well, what if Sanchez is just shoving? Like what if are they going to have some kind of quick leash on Christopher Sanchez today? I would hope not. I mean, he's earned it. So that's the one where, okay, let's say Sanchez gives you 7 innings of 1-run ball. Like what's the plan after that? Like you're not going to go to Ranger over Strom. You're not going to go to Ranger over maybe I wouldn't think over Robertson, but like I don't know. It's really fascinating. I hope they don't overthink it. It feels a little bit, if they do go the plan of like the piggyback thing, that they're getting a little bit too cute. And these managers in the postseason, when they have 3 starters at their disposal in the bullpen, they like to go crazy for some reason. So I just hope he doesn't go as crazy as I'm sure Dave Roberts cannot wait to go.
For this question's for both of you guys. I'll go to Luke first. I know where Jack's going to go with this answer based on the fact that he's been in Jack's ideal trade deadline for 4 years, and now he's been a gift. But 3 guys post All-Star break have really been fantastic, and Marsh goes back even further than that, back to May. But post All-Star break, Brandon Marsh 881 OPS, Bryson Stott 855 OPS, Harrison Bader 824 OPS. Which of those 3 guys, if the Phillies do win this series, is the most important to step up and deliver in the lineup?
Probably say Marsh. I think just because Marsh probably hits highest in the lineup out of those 3. I think Marsh probably hits 5th today. And, I still think Alec Boehm is probably the biggest player in this lineup in the whole entire series. I mean, we've seen what Schwarber can do. We've seen what Harper can do. But the issue in the past has been, if they're not hitting the home runs and they're just on base, getting them in. I still think Boehm's the biggest, but I think Marsh in probably that 5 hole. But I think that's where the team differs. And I think it was JT talked about it yesterday about how they're a lot more confident because they're just playing better baseball right now. Last year, everyone knows they were under 500 after the London series, and they kind of just like walked into the playoffs and ran into a hot Mets team. I don't want to say good because they weren't that good, but they just weren't. But it's Marsh for me, and I think Stott in that 9 hole he's proven he's had a ton of big playoff moments already. I go back to the at bat before the Reese homer, game 3, every single time. I think it's one of the biggest at bats of that entire playoff run. But it's Marsh for me, I think.
I guess I'll rephrase the question for Jack. Out of those 3 guys, which are you the most confident in to keep up what they've been doing when we get to the playoffs here?
That's a good question because, man, it is nice and refreshing that you feel pretty confident in all of them Because last year, I don't think we felt that way at all. And it really seemed like we were trending towards a platoon at second base and a platoon with Marsh. And the way that they've played, they've completely outdone that. I think Stott is the one that I'm most confident in. I still, and it's probably unfair. I know he's hitting 300 since like May 1st. It's crazy the run he's been on, but I still have a little bit of skepticism with Marsh. I just do, and especially against left-handed pitching. Even though he's done a better job recently against it, but he's just been so hot. It's hard to say that, but I think it's Stott just from the standpoint of, I think he's comfortable being down at the bottom of the lineup, almost being the second leadoff hitter for the bottom there, and. Like Luke said, I mean, I don't think he gets fazed by the pressure, and I think he's someone who I just trust at a big spot. Like he's like one of the 4 guys I think I trust the most in a pressure situation. So stop for me. And then real quick on Bader, I don't know. He's not going to hit. Like I think where Bader's settling into, because he was hitting 400 for a stretch there, it was insane. But I think he's settling into just going to hit a big home run, but I don't know what the bat's really going to look like, because the last 2 weeks he kind of cratered. I mean, he had the 3-hit game out in Arizona. It was actually wasn't a bad thing that he kind of slowed down, because I didn't need it turning into like who should lead off, Turner or Bader, the National League batting champ or Harrison Bader.
Is Bader more important to re-sign than Schwarber this offseason? We didn't need that.
Yeah. So he cooled off, and I do wonder what his bat is going to look like. I think the most important thing with Bader is just hit the timely home run. That sounds easier said than done. The crab walk, couldn't be more in on the crab walk, and then continue to bring the energy that he brings every day. But I'd be surprised if he gets back to where he was, a month ago, hitting wise.
I know you talked about this the other day, Jack. So it seems like they're still going to roll with the Kepler against righties. I know you brought up the Nick Castellanos NLDS stats the other day. If Kepler goes out today, goes 0 for 4, the Phillies win the game, Dodgers throw a righty in game 2, do you start Castellanos in game 2 against a righty?
I do.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten a little. Now, Kepler did hit the home run on Sunday against the Twins. It was what a moment, right?
Another
we're all
worst
remember
case
where we were
scenario.
for the game tying home run by Max
Just
Kepler.
double and Max Kepler's homer.
Exactly
they go
right.
hand in hand.
Exactly right. Now, what is funny is that Castellanos' numbers outside the NLDS in the postseason are pretty atrocious. I believe he's a 136 hitter, not in the NLDS.
Yes.
But man, and I'm as fed up with Castellanos as anyone. But he showed up in that Mets series last year. He's not going to be afraid of the Dodgers, and he's a $20 million. He hasn't played like it, but he's a $20 million a year player that has been one of your guys for the last couple of years. I think Topper's going to stick with it. I really do. I think Kepler's going to play, and they're just going to ride this thing. But I would kind of see what Castellanos has, see if he's ready to bring the juice, and before I'm like shoehorning in a Max Kepler start in right field. Sanchez is more of a ground ball guy. Maybe outfield defense isn't as important with him on the mound. You could sneak him in there, but I really think Thompson's going to do what he's kind of done for the whole second half of the year, and kind of platoon this thing and see if we can win a title out of it.
Do you think Topper's going to be, making those late game strategic moves, getting Otto in certain spots, maybe a Weston Wilson at bat in certain spots, maybe Sosa at bat, or are we going to see kind of the Topper I feel like we've seen in the past in the playoffs, where he kind of there's some sitting on the hands, I think, and leaving your guys out there?
Yeah, it seems like both are going to make the roster, Kemp and Wilson. So, that does give them some good flexibility. Would have been nice to have that situation in 2023 in Game 7, but regardless. And by the way, no one brings up Castellanos as a bat before that. It's always about Rojas as a bat.
Yeah.
But Castellanos was, whatever. Not to bring up bad memories.
I recently went down and looked at just like the game log of that in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning in the at-bats, and don't do that. Don't go and do that.
Never do that again.
Well, and don't watch the Harper dismissing his Bedlam at the Bank Part 2 as well, because it's right there. Yeah. So the thing with Thompson for me, he's shown to be pretty aggressive with the lineup in the second half of the year. With when the platoon thing started happening, I'd be more prone to do it, I think, at home than at Dodger Stadium, just because the outfield's so big. So you have to factor that in, I think, because all of a sudden, if you're sitting out there and it's Castellanos and Kemp in left field or Wilson in left field, that's atrocious. So he's got to be smart about it. And the thing with the Dodgers is they have a million lefties out of the bullpen that they can kind of go to. So even if you pull Marsh with one lefty, it's not like that's the only lefty they have. They have other lefties that they can go to, whether it's Vezia, Scott, Dreyer, the Nabaluski, whatever the hell his name is, that came in the one time. So they do have enough arms to where you can't pull Marsh early because that's the only lefty they have. So the bigger one for me with Thompson is really just what he's going to do with the pitchers. And how is he going to finagle this whole Ranger piggyback? Do they go Luzardo out of the bullpen? Do they yank starters a little bit too early? He gets so – I feel like that's been his one thing is like he gets so trigger happy almost to get these guys out of games in the postseason.
Especially with a day off too.
It could lead him to be even more aggressive, you know? So – that's my thing with him this series is how does he handle this pitching staff? Because he could get crazy if he wants to with all the off days. He let Ranger just walk a tightrope last year. Now it was fine because he was doing it, but then he put Hoffman out there. He brought him back out for a second inning, which I hate more than anything in the world. So I think it's actually more the pitching decisions with Thompson that I am keyed in on than the late inning, pinch hit situations.
I think this one's for both of you real fast. On that point, on the bullpen point, we have the top three, I think. Taking the starters aside, let's say the starters are the starters. For whatever reason, they don't piggyback or we get in a war. Duran, Strahm, Robertson are the top three. I'd like to think at this point. Who's the fourth guy?
If they want to win a World Series. You guys
both made the same exact face and sound there.
I think if they want to win a World Series, I think it has to be Kerkering. And I don't fully trust them, but I think they need a third righty there.
Yeah, and
I think it has to be Kerkering over Banks. And I like Banks. I think Banks is going to get outs, but I think it just has to be Kerkering.
Banks is a guy who gets you a big out in the fifth, big out in the sixth. He's not a late inning guy, but one thing that I find interesting. What if it's second and third, one out in the fifth, sixth? Is that Strahm? Is Strahm on Ohtani in
Probably.
That early in the game, and then Banks has to come back late and get Ohtani? I think that's interesting. Maybe that's a scenario where they would bring one of those starters like Ranger or Luzardo out of the pen if they have to go to Strahm early to get out a big thing. But Kerkering is going to be massive. I really it's almost like I want to have a sit down with Kerkering before the postseason and be like,
I'd like to be there too. I'd like to talk to my friend too.
Just do it. Just drop the stones and let's go win a freaking World Series and stop pitching so scared.
And please, for the love of God, use all of your pitches. Stop throwing one pitch.
In the offseason, if you don't learn a cutter or a splitter or a changeup, something, I'm going to blow a gasket. So would love to have a sit down with Kerkering for the postseason. The one that I kind of wish I had a better feeling about, and he had a quote today that I guess could make you feel a little better, but I wish I felt better about the idea of Buehler. But every time I watch him, it looks like this isn't going to sound good. But it looks like how when I try to throw hard now, and I still think I have 84 in the old wing, and then 78 comes out. That's kind of
Syndergaard a little bit.
Yeah, dude, it's a great comp. He is Syndergaard. Now, hopefully he's not starting Game 5 of a World Series game against a juggernaut Astros team, but it's a shame, man, because I love Walker Buehler, but I just don't see it.
One more bullpen thing, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to do it. I think they may have to at some point. Do you see them doing an up-down with Duran at all in this series?
No, I do. No, I think the Mets got nuts sometimes with Diaz, where it felt like they pitched him 8, try to get 6 outs all the time. I think they would do it. I think they would let him come in and finish out an inning, like maybe make it the last out rather than like go for a pure 6-out save. But the one thing that I find interesting with Duran is, would you bring him in like the 7th? I mean, I would love to be able to keep him for the 9th, but I also want my best arms in the highest leverage spot. And It most likely won't happen in the 7th, because you would assume that it would get back to Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. But I don't know. I don't want them to be just married to him for only the 9th inning. But I do think that, he talked the other day how he's kind of bored just throwing one inning. While I like the quote, he's also been a little shaky recently. So if you're so bored, how about you don't have us be stressing out when you enter into a game?
To your point about the 2-out saves to both of you, I think if we see that, it's tonight. With the day off tomorrow, I could see Topper being aggressive with Duran and bringing him in the 8th for the 9th or the 7th for the 8th, whatever it is. But Duran's my take that I think I tweeted it out, but I don't want to see Shohei facing a righty for the first 2 games of the series unless it's Duran, honestly. And which is funny to say about a guy with an 898 OPS against lefties, but he has 1076 OPS against righties. So I really don't want to, I want to limit his ABs against righties. But last question for you, Jack. What's the NLCS? What's the World Series? What's the path?
All right. So this one's going 5. We're gonna be bleeping bricks until next Saturday night when they return back here for the 8:08 start. Man, that's gonna be
while the longest day ever.
Yeah. While it's gonna be excruciating, I think this is gonna be a series we're gonna remember for the rest of our lives. I really do. I think we're going to talk about the Dodgers series for the next 15, 20 years.
Either way.
When little Walker and Sutton are like, Daddy, tell me about the 2025 Phillies. And hold on. You don't understand the war that me, Mark, and Luke went through to beat the Dodgers in the NLDS.
This is our dad's and grandfather's 1980 Astros series that we've heard about so many times. This is what that feels like.
Yeah, I'm still jealous that they were able to watch Game 5 of the 1980 NLCS. It seemed like the greatest game that's ever played. But yeah, so I think Phil's in 5. I think it's Brewers. That Cubs team. Now, yeah, I think that Cubs team is mostly Fugazi. But Phil's Brewers, the biggest fear I actually have of beating the Dodgers is there's letdown because it's such a war that all of a sudden they can't beat the freaking Brewers. And I actually am worried about the Brewers. I think I've heard a little bit too much of these are the 2 best teams in baseball. While I appreciate the sentiment, I do think that Brewers team is good. I really do. I think they play baseball a very good, tough brand of baseball that they always keep you on your toes. Are they great?
Letters, no. They're faking letters from dead people.
That's a weird one. And that should come back to bite them. And they could be the 2015 Hawks. But but yeah, I think it's Phil's Brewers. And then, dude, I got to be honest, man. Everyone's kind of picking the Mariners in the AL. Until the Mariners win a series, we'll see. We'll see. So I'll go Phil's Yanks just out of the fun, how fun that would be. And just watching Judge choke away a World Series again to this Phillies team would be quite hilarious. So I'll go Phil's Yanks, Phil's Brewers, Phil's in 5 over the Dodgers.
I hate to toot my own horn. I did DM Jack a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago now.
And
this Yanks team is red hot, and they've been my pick to win the AL. But I agree. That's pretty similar to the path I'm going to lay out. Me and Luke are going to go through it. But Jack, thanks so much for coming on, man, to preview Red October. Here we are. Hopefully this is the start of something special here, Jack.
For sure. And if you guys are down at the ballpark, come on by. You know where we are. We stay in the same spot since we stood for 4 postseasons now. So we're locked in, and get us all to 638, all right?
Get us to 638. Everybody check out Jack and everything he's got going on at High Hopes. Buy the book. Give us a little book plug, Jack.
Ringthebellbook.com, especially for the holidays. Come on. It's right around the corner. I'm feeding my kids water sandwiches. Buy the book. Buy the book.
Buy the freaking book. Burn the freaking boats. Jack, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Of course.
There he is, Jack Fritz. We've been wanting to do that for a long time, having Jack on here. I know Luke was pumped to have him on as well. And now, Luke, we could talk a little bit more Phillies if you want.
Yeah,
let's get sicko. Let's dive into, we got Jack on. I don't want to bring him down in the mud, in the gambling mud with me.
No, come on.
Let's talk some baseball. Let's talk some of these series. I cannot wait for today, Luke. Not just the Phillies. I was trying to explain to my wife, This is one of my favorite sports days I can ever remember.
So question, do we go from top 5 worst sports day ever to top 5 ever?
Last
Yesterday
night was
horrible,
horrible, and Rob Manfred should be in prison for
horrible, man.
How do you set up your playoff schedule that
So
the
bad.
one night there's no football, we have no baseball?
It's absolutely disgusting. We went out last night with a few of my buddies, and we were like, dude, like, what are we doing? Like, there's nothing on. What are we doing here?
West Virginia, and then not that I'm going to tell people, BYU. I think it was BYU, West Virginia, right? That was the 10:30 game. I'm not telling people that's a great college football game. How's that game on at 10:30? Give me that game at 8:00 at least, so there's something on during the time where I'm awake. And
Despicable.
Absolutely a nightmare in terms of sports last night. But it gives us today, where we have a full slate of college football, and we're going to get to that. People are going to tell you not a great slate, and obviously last week was so historic that every slate would feel like a letdown after last week. I'm here to tell you that there's a lot to track here today in college football. I think it's a fun Saturday in the college football world. And then you look at the way that these matchups broke in the MLB, and I think Rob Manfred can just thank his lucky stars. You get a Yankees-Red Sox series in round 1. You get a Cubs series playing in Wrigley during the day for the wild card series where they make it through and they beat the loser Padres who, it's a good thing AJ Preller has that deadline trophy in his mantle because, that's what matters when you're playing MLB The Show in real life. But Padres lose again. The Cubs move on. You get Phillies, Dodgers, East Coast, West Coast. I mean, Jack doesn't want me to say it. 2 best teams, in my opinion, facing off right here. Brewers, Cubs, an hour away. The NL Central clash going at each other. Those are rivals. And not to mention, Cubs have the Brewers' former manager who left Milwaukee to go to Chicago to add a little intrigue there.
Yeah.
Yankees, Blue Jays. That's an AL East rivalry. And then you got the Tigers-Mariners. We'll move past that. But
I'm actually really excited for Tigers-Mariners. But
no, yeah. For us sickos, it's a fun matchup. You got Scooble, you got the Mariners have all the arms, and they got some fun bats as well. Maybe Ichiro takes an at bat for them.
Yeah,
who knows?
Except Troy Melton is starting for the Tigers today. So
the Tigers have to be one of the worst teams to make the LDS, it feels like. And that feels funny to say because they were good for a long portion of the season.
They were the best team in baseball for 3 months.
Yeah. Even when they were good, though, you looked at the roster and you're like, besides Scooble and, why is this team this good? And
I love him, but Matt Vierling was playing center field at the beginning of the season. I love Matt Vierling, but come on. They had one pitcher. They didn't have a bullpen. It was weird.
It is crazy. Something I didn't know. I didn't know Tigers fans hated Riley Green so much. I don't know if you've seen any of this on Twitter. Tigers fans think he sucks. I don't know what that is. And I know a weird guy. I'll give him a shout out, but he's a weirdo. Chris Castellani, for anybody who ever has followed him from Barstool, he puts out his reaction videos to the Tigers, and for whatever reason, if you ever look at those and look at the replies, and the Tigers fans think he's horrible and has no plate discipline and he's a loser. And it's such a weird, I actually had to look at his stats again, a couple weeks ago. And I was like, he's pretty good player. I'd take Riley Green on the Phillies, but let's get started let's start with the Phillies game. We'll wrap it up, kind of tie a bow to what we were talking about with Jack. And I meant to kind of say this as we were talking about this off air, and I meant to say it to Jack, but we've got some time here. Tonight is everything. I hate to be that guy who says it's a must win when it's 0-0 and it's game 1, but the fact that the Phillies are lucky enough, and I will say lucky enough, to be the home field advantage team against the Dodgers. I'd have to look into it. I wonder when the last time the Dodgers didn't have home field in a playoff series. I think they would have had it against the Yankees last year.
I could find that.
I think they won more games than New York, and so many past years they lost early when they were a high seed. So I can't imagine there's been that many times that the Dodgers have not had home field in a series. But the gift that we've gotten to be home field, we open up 1-2 at home, and then we come back for 5. And Jack said it. I don't know if we can make the case that we have the better starting rotation. I think if we were going against any other team in baseball, we could probably make a strong case that we have the advantage in the rotation. But with this team, we might not have the advantage. Tonight, we do.
We do.
And Shohei's got great stuff. I know he's been fantastic. I know he shut us down quite recently. Christopher Sanchez is the NL leader in WAR, not among pitchers, among players. What Chris Sanchez has done this year has been one of the most underrated and under-talked about great seasons I've ever seen from a player on a team that won their division and went to the playoffs. Players have these types of seasons that get lost to history when you play on a 75-win team that misses the playoffs. But what Chrissy Sanchez has done on a 90, what did we end up winning? 95 games? 90, I forget. 96, something like that. What he's done on a team that's won mid-90 games, for it not to get talked about the way it has, it feels, and Jack said people are starting to come around this week and everybody's picking the Phillies from a national perspective and Sanchez is a part of that. It feels like this tonight and this playoffs to me, more than anything about the Phillies as a whole, I think this playoffs and this postseason is Chrissy Sanchez's arrival on the main scene as an ace that everybody across baseball needs to know about.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you look at that, I can't find the exact number right now, but his last 2 seasons, his record at Citizens Bank Park is his record is insane. Just from a pitcher win standpoint, and I think pitcher win stats are idiotic. But even the team's record is absurd. He just finds ways. And like, what's crazy about him is like, he'll go out and like, he'll let up a run in the first inning, like here and there, or he'll let up like one run here and there, and the Phillies are down and they'll start hitting a little bit. And then all of a sudden they start hitting and it takes away from the fact that he's retired 14 guys in a row, or he's retired 11 of his last 12 with 8 strikeouts. Like, he just gets in these grooves. And I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for him tonight is he has to get in a groove early because, you know, we have the best home stadium fans in baseball. But if there's something I think everyone started to realize over the past few years is that when this team starts to trail at home in the playoffs, that stadium gets really quiet. And you can see that Dodgers team can come in here and they can put up a run or two, and the Philly and Ohtani can start settling in, and that place can get quiet fast. He has to get in a groove early. And I think the Phillies jumping out to an early lead, I think, is critical. I think, like you said, I truly think whoever wins this game wins the series. And it's crazy because I think this series goes 5. And that scares me because I think whoever wins this game today wins the series. And if the Dodgers were to win this game and this series goes 5, that's brutal. But I have all the confidence in the world in Sanchez. I know he said yesterday that Wheeler was at the ballpark on Thursday and they sat down for a nice long conversation just talking, and Wheeler kind of asked him if he's ready, and Sanchez said, "Of course I am." I think he's ready. I think people are starting to realize who Christopher Sanchez is. I think you have to if he finishes second in the Cy Young voting. I still don't think people realize that he has the best freaking WAR in the entire National League. But
shout out to Matt Strom for letting people know on Twitter.
Facts.
By the way.
And dude, the funniest part about the Strom thing was I quoted Strom's reply with the same hashtag that he had. I didn't realize in the moment that he didn't tweet hashtag Sanchez Cy Young. He tweeted hashtag Sanchez MVP. And I didn't even realize. I realized it like 10 minutes later. I was like, oh, he's on an MVP campaign right now. Not even a Cy Young campaign. But yeah, I mean, it's ginormous, man. If he comes out and he starts shoving and this offense gets going, it's going to get loud in that place. Extremely. I think today has the potential to be the loudest we've heard it in this core. I still don't know if any moment will beat the Reese bat spike. I still think that's the loudest, maybe Bedlam. But I for some reason, whenever someone brings that conversation up, which one was louder, I still think it was the Reese bat spike. I think that was 10 years of no playoff baseball built into one home run, and I was there for it. It was electric. But it's everything, man. He comes out, starts big. I think he has the chance to do something really special.
As dumb as it is, in the moment, it's nowhere near as big as those two. The Stott Grand Slam pops to my mind too.
Yeah,
that I was there for that, so I'm biased. And
ridiculous.
That's up there too. But by the way, the numbers on Sanchez at home the last 2 years: 13-3, just the regular win-loss record, a 2.07 ERA.
And if you look at
I can't I can't get this for, I can't combine it on here, but in 2025, he allowed a 537 OPS to hitters at home. And in 2024, he allowed a 544 OPS to hitters at home. So over the last 2 years, he's allowed about a 540 OPS at home, which would, if you were a 540 OPS hitter, you would not be in the majors for very long. Christopher Sanchez, I really do think tonight is his night. And I'm putting 2 units on the Phils money line. I haven't bet it yet, but I think I'm going to turn around and find whatever the best odds I can find on to win game 1 and the series. So I'll be checking that out. And by the way, everybody can check Luke's stuff out over on Crossing Broad. I think I did. I think I plugged that at the top.
I think you did.
Check out all Luke's stuff over on crossingbroad.com. Great stuff he's going to have for a long postseason run here in Philadelphia. But it really, and Jack's right that there can be a letdown if they win this series. I understand that. And, if we have a game 5 next Saturday, we'll be here talking about a game 5 on this show and previewing that. And I understand that could be such an emotional war that you have a letdown. I'm sorry, but if this team beats the Dodgers, nobody can tell me anything. They are going to beat whoever lines up in front of them. If you go out and you beat Snell and Shohei and Yamamoto, and you go out and you beat Shohei and Freeman and Mookie and all those guys, you can go and beat the Milwaukee Brewers. You can go and beat the Chicago Cubs. You can go and beat the New York freaking Yankees, whoever you want to throw at me.
They'll smoke the Cubs. If the Cubs get them.
And by the way, I guess let's go right there, because we're both on the Phillies. We've talked for 40 minutes here about the Phillies. Let's talk Cubs Brewers, because I disagree with Jack. Jack said he's picking the Brewers to win that series. I will say this is a little bit of a different series than us. I don't think the Cubs have to win tonight to win the series.
Yeah.
I don't really think they win tonight. I'm not betting tonight's game, or today's game, I should say. Freddie Peralta, I think, on the same wavelength as Sanchez, has also had a really underrated season and is one of the best pitchers in baseball that nobody talks about. I have him every year in fantasy. He's a longtime fantasy guy for me. I love Freddie Peralta, so I'm not going to bet against him. But I do have the Cubs. I think it was plus 115 to win the series. So where do you lean in that series? Who do you think we'll be seeing on the other side in the NLCS if we make it there?
Yeah, I've kind of gone very back and forth with this. I think it's a very easy series to go back and forth with. I think it's a divisional matchup. It's 2 teams that I think are good. I think the Brewers are a better baseball team. But I think if the Cubs can get hot in a series like this, I think they could steamroll the Brewers. Like, I don't see them going out and killing them in this series, but I think this Brewers team, I think they play good baseball. I think they're a good baseball team, but I just don't know if it's the right October style. Maybe that's the word. And I don't think the Cubs bullpen is like everything to write home about. But I think if you get in a series with Tucker and playoff Dansby and Ian Happ, Nico Horner, if you get like PCA hot, and if you get Suzuki hot, I think this Cubs offense can roll. And I think the reason I think I lean Cubs is because I think when both offenses are hot, the Cubs have a better offense. And I think the familiarity, I can never say that word. Never mind. The Cubs offense knowing the Brewers so well, I think these teams know each other so well just because they play each other so much. And I think in a series like that, I think you have to favor the hotter offense. And I think the Cubs have a better chance to get hot than the Brewers do on the offensive side of the ball. The thing is, I'll probably say Cubs in 5 because I do agree with you. I think the Brewers win tonight, and I don't see the Cubs ripping off like 3 of the next 4 after that, or like 3 in a row. So I'll probably go Cubs in 5. I actually think that series will be a lot more entertaining than people think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think every time you see the Brewers in a playoff series, you're like, I don't care. But I think that division with Council switching, and I think there's a lot to this series. I think this can turn into a series where maybe not like fights, but like I think this could turn into a little bit of a chippy series, and I'm all for chippy baseball, especially in October. It's the best way to play baseball when both teams hate each other. I hope that's how this series turns to in the end. I want this to be a dogfight for the Phillies, but I'll probably go Cubs in 5 in this one.
And I totally agree. My point is that I like the Cubs offense. I've been bullish on this Cubs offense all year long. And the part I actually like, through 3 games, the Cubs have 6 runs against San Diego, and they were able to eke it out with pitching in the bullpen.
Their bullpen looked really good in that series after not a good regular season.
Yeah, they really stepped up. And even Shota had a tough month. And I'm not going to tell you he lit the world on fire, but 4 innings, 2 runs. Like, he did fine. Only gave up 3 hits. He really just ran into trouble in 1 inning. Boyd had a solid start. Tyone had a solid start. None of them went long, but they used all 3 of them, and they all did pretty well. The pitching really stepped up for Chicago. And you mentioned a couple names. Ian Happ, 273 OPS in those 3 games. Kyle Tucker, 545 OPS in those 3 games. PCA, 600 OPS in those 3 games. Dansby, 522 OPS in those 3 games. Shaw, 0 OPS in those games. Like, some of those guys are going to get going. Like, and I expect it to happen here against Milwaukee. It almost reminds me a little bit the Cubs, and I hate to say this because this would not be good for us if it follows the track. There's a little 2022 Phillies vibe with the Cubs.
I thought you were going to go a different route there. I thought you were going to say 23 D-backs.
No, they're too good to do that.
Yeah, they're better. Yeah, they're better.
People don't realize it because the Brewers were so dominant the whole year in that division. Cubs won 92 games. Like, the Cubs, and actually a big part, they would have won more games. If you looked at like the last 2 weeks of the year, they were pretty much playing for nothing. Like, they were so far behind Milwaukee, you knew they were going to make the playoffs. I think they actually lost 4 or 5 in a row at one point in the last 2 or 3 weeks that made their record even look worse. There were stretches where they had the second best record in baseball for like long stretches just behind the Brewers, but they didn't win their division. So I feel like they never got the credit for that. I think I think the Cubs have been underrated all year long, and I think they're being underrated right now. So we're both Phillies in 5, Cubs in 5, heading to the NLCS. Let's head over to the series, I should say, that I'm probably most confident in, and that's the Yankees. Unfortunately, you want to take here, Luke? Rio. Sweep. How about that? Blue Jays still don't win a playoff game with this core. Or do they have 1 win with this core, or was it 0? I know that's a stat I always hear, that they either have 1 playoff win with this core or 0. I can't remember which one it is, but I look at this Toronto team and I understand they won the exact same amount of games as the Yankees. So this Yankees team that I've been praising, I think they finished the year I forget what 30-9 if you include the playoffs in the last 39 games, I think it might be, or something crazy like that. They've been unbelievable. What does Toronto do exceptionally well as a baseball team? Nothing, right?
No.
Who's their ace? Shane Bieber starting tonight. He started 6 games for them.
I think Gausman's tonight.
Is Gausman going?
I think it's Gausman versus Luis Gil tonight.
It is Gausman. For some reason, I thought I saw it was Bieber and one.
I think Bieber goes game 2. Yeah.
So even Gausman, Gausman struggled for a long portion of this year, and he ended up getting it back where I think he finished 3.6 ERA, and they have a lot of. I'd say Gausman's a fringe one, like a fringe ace. I don't look at him as a top 20 pitcher. Probably
Kevin Gausman is the definition of a very solid pitcher year after year. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's bad in any sort. I think he's just a very solid starting pitcher.
And then you have Bassett and Berrios, who are probably good number 3s. I like Bassett. I've always been kind of a Berrios hater, and a Bassett I've always kind of liked Bassett.
I don't think Berrios is that good.
Berrios to me reeks of I've just seen that guy have 2 inning 7-run starts way too many times he can melt down quickly. Then you have Scherzer's been horrible. Lauer, do you trust Lauer in a playoff series? The bullpen's been a disaster. Hoffman has a 4.4 ERA. Their bullpen's a problem. And then you look at the lineup. Now you have no Bichette in this series, and I get it. Vladdy's awesome, 848 OPS. He's not like Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani. He's kind of like what Bryce is right now. And if any, Bryce might be the 3rd guy we're relying on in our lineup behind Schwarber and Trey, if we're being honest. Maybe 2nd, but it feels like Vladdy has to be a superhero to me for Toronto to win this series, let alone, compete in the series.
I think the biggest one for them is Springer. If George Springer plays how he played in the regular season, I don't think they'll sweep them. And granted, he's been another guy. Alex Bregman killed them in the wild card round. These old Astros are Yankees killers.
They own them.
He has an 875 OPS in the playoffs in his career. He had a 1276 with Houston in 2018. He's definitely tailed off as a Blue Jay. But granted, this is also his best season with the Blue Jays. But this is another one. This has a Cubs-Brewers vibe to me in the sense of divisional teams that are familiar with the pitchers. And Yankees hit better against the Blue Jays than the Blue Jays hit against the Yankees. It's just historical over the last few years. It's always been like that. My favorite bet from this game is Aaron Judge home run. I bet it every time he faces Kevin Gausman because he has 6 career home runs against him. He absolutely destroys Gausman. He's 17 for 48 with 3 doubles, 6 homers, and 12 RBIs against Kevin Gausman with a 107.6 OPS. This Yankees team, as they stand right now, has an 841 combined OPS against Gausman. If anything, maybe I would look for some runs tonight. I believe that line's at 8.5. It's maybe a little high for a playoff game, but I would maybe lean towards the over. I think you could see some runs. Once again, I think these teams are very familiar with each other. And, Yankees get into a late game against that bullpen. I think they can score some runs off of Jeff Hoffman and whoever the hell else is out of that bullpen. So I would honestly maybe look towards the over. Honestly, and I think I know where you're going with this. Yankees plus 105 probably is, I think, could be a level of a hammer down situation. I think that's a little bit of a wild line. I mean, I guess it's basically a pick 'em, kind of. But, yeah, I think the Yankees win tonight. And I do think the Yankees win the series. I'll go Yankees in 4.
Yeah, I
think
love
Toronto wins.
Tonight.
I think Toronto wins game 2.
I get that.
I think they split in Toronto, and I think the Yankees win both of their home games.
I like that. And then you'll get Schlittler in one of those 2 home games in game 3 or game 4. And Luke and I have been big Schlittler guys all September. He's another guy, fantasy guy who came through for me to get me to the playoffs this year. Schlittler, I've been all in. And this is a Portnoyism. I'll give Portnoy credit for he likes the playoff hosts like Nathan Eovaldi, the bigger pitchers who come in, and Crochet did it as well. Like those 6'5", 6'6" guys, maybe a little meat to him. And Schlittler doesn't have that, but when Schlittler stands on a mound, he has an imposing aura about him. And those guys, I feel like, always do well in the playoffs. And Sanchez has a little bit of that as well with how big he is and how tall he is, too. But Schlittler has been a guy since I remember the first start I saw him. I believe it might have been against Toronto. I'd have to go back and look at it. It was someone it might have been Tampa. It was someone in the division. He pitched really, I think it was like 5 or 6 innings, 1 or 2 runs. And I remember just thinking, like, this guy's going to be a star in October. And I'm going to have to, like, Yankees fans are going to have jerseys of this guy by October of this year.
Oh, I would too.
I would be all in if I was a Yankees fan. I think what he did the other night maybe isn't being talked about enough. About how insane that is going into that spot and that rivalry at home. 8 innings. What was it? 14 strikeouts did he end up with?
I think he had 12 strikeouts and 8 shutout with no walks.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I think it's crazier that in his first postseason start in a do-or-die game, he didn't walk a guy rather than striking out 12. I think not walk. I still think it's more impressive when pitchers don't walk a single guy. I think in today's league, you get up there and you get a slugger up there, it's just an instant walk. And the fact that he just went at Bregman and went at all those guys is really, really impressive.
And then the last game here, Detroit-Seattle. You mentioned it, Troy Milton going against George Kirby. I'm staying away from this series, I think, from a gambling perspective. I feel like you said, Seattle's become a little too chalky.
I think so.
Everybody's kind of a little too in on Seattle, but I don't have the guts to bet on Detroit with how they've looked as of late. I'll maybe take them in the game they have Skubal, and my bet is that they probably win the game they have Skubal and lose the other 3. So I'll take Mariners 3-1 with respect to Skubal.
Yeah. If Eugenio Suarez gets hot, they roll through this series.
They absolutely could, yeah.
But I know they collapsed, and it probably sounds weird to say this. They had one of the worst collapses ever, and them winning a series is going to save people from ever talking about that collapse that they had. I think the Tigers have a little bit of dog in them, though. Like, just a little tiny bit. And I don't know if it's enough dog to win this series. I don't think it is. I have Seattle in 5. I think this series goes. I think this is a sneaky series. I think this is one of those series that, like, everyone looks at Phillies Dodgers and everyone looks at the Yankees playing and they look at this hot Cubs offense. And then all of a sudden, that Saturday night, when you think it's just going to be a Phillies Dodgers game 5, you're going to have a Mariners Tigers game leading into that game. I have Mariners in 5. I think the Tigers will win the Scooble game, and I think they'll sneak one more win out. I think they'll sneak out one in Seattle. I think they'll split the first 4 home games, both teams. I think one team will win on the road in each stadium, and then I think the Mariners will win it at home in game 5, because I believe that would set them up. So who throws game 2 for them? Sorry. Mark, if they went to 5, it would be Scooble versus Luis Castillo.
Can Scooble win him too in this series? He's going next. He's going tomorrow.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Tigers in 5.
Yeah. I can't do it. I'm not
going to bet on it, but I'm going to do it. If they go to a game 5, Scooble's going to win the game.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. If they get to maybe they don't get to the game 5. If they get there, they will win in 5.
I like it. That takes some courage out there, folks. Picking against everybody's darling Mariners. So
I think Luis Castillo is a little bit of a fraud too. Slight.
Yeah, I guess I kind of think my opinion's like consensus with Castillo. I feel like he's very good, but not like a true elite top ace. So real quick let's do our World Series prediction so we can get over to football here. I'm going Phillies over Cubs and then Yankees over Mariners. I'll go Phillies over Cubs in 5. And I'll go Yankees over Mariners I'll give them 7. I'll say Yankees over Mariners in 7.
Phillies over Cubs in the CS in 5. Maybe 6. Not 7, though. Or 4, because everyone knows the Phillies, they won't sweep an NLCS. Yankees over Tigers in 6. And Phillies over Yankees. Unfortunately, the Phillies win it in Yankee Stadium. Phillies in 6. If Phillies-Yankees goes game 7, I'm going to rip my head off.
I'll say Phillies over Yankees in 7.
Phillies-Yankees in 6.
I'm gonna say 7, where we bring the Yanks here.
I think we're in agreement. Whoever wins Phillies-Dodgers wins the World Series.
Yeah. I've been there, ever since we thought this was going to happen. And I also was kind of saying whoever won Yankees-Red Sox was going to win the AL.
Yes.
But
me as well.
I just didn't believe in any. If Seattle's the one team that could I think win it outside of the Yankees, I can't really see the Tigers or Blue Jays making the World Series.
No, because I think the Yankees beat the Blue Jays. So
yeah,
I think if the Blue Jays didn't get the Yankees in the DS, I think the Blue Jays could sneak their way in to the World Series. But I don't think they're going to get through the Yankees to be able to get there.
Yeah, like if Toronto got Detroit and
if Toronto got Detroit and Seattle pull one out against the Yankees and you go into a Blue Jays Mariners series and Toronto has home field, I think Toronto could win that in like 7 and then kind of sneak-ish into the World Series. But no, I got Phillies-Yankees World Series rematch of 2009, and I think the Phillies are just a better team. Phillies in 6. They win it in Yankee Stadium. And here's a take. Johan Duran doesn't close it out.
Ooh, who's closing it out? Who's throwing the last pitch?
Ranger Suarez closes it out.
I love it.
Because they'll use Duran, because they're going to need a big game. This is just an absolute complete guess. I don't even know where the off days would be. They need a big Duran game in game 5. And they probably already used them in game 4. And I believe World Series might go back to back to back. I can't remember off the top of my head, which is kind of brutal.
I'm pretty sure it does, yeah.
Ranger Suarez closes out the World Series game 6. Phillies beat the Yankees in 6.
I love it. Let's talk. Let's switch it over. We got all the baseball out of our system. That was a great hour talking all things Red October, all things MLB. I'm absolutely psyched. 4 great games today to go with a great college football card. And I like these weeks where you have a couple big games. You have Miami, Florida State. You have a couple games to get excited about. there's some sleeper games out there laying in the weeds to make this a truly special Saturday we talk about for a long time. And I'm going to start it off, and Luke, just stop me if you have any takes on these games. And after I run down my 6 or 7 picks here, we're going to kind of open it up to the rest of the card and bring up a couple other games I don't have any picks on, because there's a couple good games out there that I don't have a side on. But 12 o'clock, shout out to Nick McClay. I'm taking the Iowa State Cyclones plus 2.5 here at Cincinnati. I'm walking into the rat trap. I know it's a trap, but I'm walking right in. Iowa State's banged up on D. They're banged up in the secondary.
They just lost like 2 of their top corners, right?
Yeah, they're banged up. They absolutely are. And I know Cincinnati's everybody's sharp play here because Brennan Sorsby, people like him. I'm not a big Brennan Sorsby guy. I think he's kind of a phony, and the big phony here, and the reason that I'm fading Cincinnati in what seems like a Cincinnati spot is I think their coach, Scott Satterfield's a total fraud. The guy's 36-41 combined at Louisville and Cincinnati. I don't know how he got the Cincinnati job when he was going to get fired from Louisville. What a great way to save your own butt there, to move a half hour down the road to get a new job. But if Iowa State wants to be a real contender in the Big 12, you put up with a couple injuries here. You get through a couple injuries, and you find a way to win this game. Cincinnati's not a top 7 team in the Big 12, in my opinion. You need to find a way to win this game. I'm taking the Cyclones. Earlier in the week, I thought that'd be one of my favorite plays of the week. Now it's only a 2-unit play, so it's not up there as among my favorite plays, but I do like it.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Contentful. Marketers, you know that feeling when your creative clicks? When that social post sends engagement through the roof? When your outside-of-the-box campaign hits ROI positive? When a personalized homepage turns prospects into customers? It's utter marketing bliss. Contentful helps you create tailored omni-channel experiences without working overtime. No stress, no limits, only possibilities. Get the feels at Contentful.com.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus has movies. So many movies. The movies you've seen 1,000 times and could watch 1,000 more. Iconic movies your friends can't believe you haven't seen. New movies, classic movies, new takes on classic movies. So whether you're into Top Gun or The Naked Gun, Mean Girls or Mission Impossible, Smurfs or Sonic the Hedgehog, there's a mountain of movies to discover on Paramount Plus. Start streaming today.
Another one at 12 o'clock here. Give me Illinois minus 7.5 at Purdue. Another player, I'm kind of fading the Sharps, but I have to give Bielema so much credit for the way Illinois bounced back against USC last week. They got killed against Indiana, a 63-10, 65-10, whatever it was. An embarrassing showing for Illinois, but I think that was an aberration. I think they've bought in that their goals are still ahead of them in the Big Ten. I don't think they're nearly that bad. You look at the wins against Duke, the win last week against USC. I buy that more than the one loss where they showed up and didn't show up to the game, basically. So give me Illinois to put it on Purdue and punish them a little bit here. Moving on to the late afternoon game at 3:30. This opened up at a 14.5 point spread, and I usually hate betting numbers that drop so much, but I'm still taking, it's another rat trap. I'm still taking Vandy plus 11.5 at Alabama. Only a 1-unit play here for me, but I just think this is an ultimate letdown spot for Bama. As we saw last year, they beat Georgia and then lost the next week to Vanderbilt. This could be 21-0 Bama by 3:45, and I'm feeling like an idiot. But I'm willing to say, hand up, I rode too long with Diego Pavia. I've done worse things in my life. I'm going to the well one more time. Since the start of last year, Vandy 9-2 against the spread as a dog with 5 outright wins. Any take on that one, Luke?
Not really, honestly. Can't lie, I haven't been keeping up a ton with Vanderbilt football.
They're red hot.
I look at that record, and it seems like they're playing some pretty good football.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it might be a big line for, and I don't know how much you really go off of rankings. You know, it seems a 12.5 point there. I guess it's kind of what it's listed at right now. Seems a little wide for maybe ranking matchup that close. A bigger-ish, I would say, this year SEC matchup. I'd probably lean Vanderbilt there. I think it's a lot of points for a Bama team who I don't think they're like great. I think they're good. I think they're really good, but I don't think they're great. I would lean Vanderbilt plus 12.5.
And then a game that I know, Luke, one of these teams is locked in on. Give me the over, 62.5, Boise State, Notre Dame.
Come on.
Notre Dame overs are cash cow.
Oh, come on.
3 straight overs have hit for Boise with an average of 71 points per game. All 4 overs have hit for Notre Dame with an average of 72 points per game. High number, but as Rico Bosco says, ND this year stands for no defense, unfortunately, even though it's on my hat right here. Luke, this is the best offense I've ever had the pleasure of watching as a Notre Dame fan. Watching this offense work is surgical. CJ Carr at this age, like, honestly, no matter what happens, this Notre Dame season, it's a win with how good CJ has looked. I mean, at this age, you have at least 1 more year. I think you get 2 more years with CJ at Notre Dame. And I think you have to be so enthusiastic about the next couple of years. And they still have their goals in front of them if you go win the next 8 games, and they should take care of business today. But it's the worst defense I've ever had the pleasure of not liking to watch for Notre Dame. It is an absolute joke. Now, they were better last week. I think Arkansas was a dead team walking that was ready to fire fat man Sam Pittman. But he's gone, and hopefully Notre Dame steps up here again against the Boise State team that I think can put some points on the board, but I think we're talking like a 51-30 game here. Like, I think we're talking huge number, but Notre Dame wins by multiple touchdowns. So give me over 62.5 in Boise Notre Dame. And then another 3:30 slate game here. Give me first half Penn State minus 13.5 at UCLA. A little revenge game for Penn State. I don't mind Penn State minus 24.5 either, but I decided to go with the first half.
I was going to say, honestly, I expected that line to be a little higher for Penn State. Too. I thought that came in a little low, but not keeping up on UCLA football, I will take the better team here. Is it true that this is Penn State's first road game of the year?
I think so. I think now that you say that, I haven't.
They're going to have a lot of road games in October. Yeah, they play. Yeah, home versus Nevada, home versus FIU, and home versus Nova, and home versus Oregon.
That did not work out. But, and by the way, UCLA, the only team in the country not to have led at any point this season. Unbelievable. So tough first road test for the
Give me the Bruins
here.
No.
Man,
I wish
that team getting put into the Big Ten was a shame.
Yeah, it's
for UCLA. But
just want to say really quick. Quick. Sorry, we can get right back into college football. The Phillies released their hype video. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. They ended it with a really good ending. Sorry, we can get back into college football.
No. What's the ending? Whatever it takes.
So they pulled out, like, you know, those like lights, camera, action, those things that like open and shut, and they did the thing. So they did that at the beginning, and it was basically narrated by like a bunch of Phillies, like Marsh, Harper, Schwarber, Trey, Nola, like a bunch of guys. Then they went through this big montage at the end, and they put that thing in the front so you couldn't see who was behind it. They closed it, they moved it, and Zach Wheeler had the last line at the end. And it was, oh man, it was so good. Oh, it was so good.
Is he going to be there tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, they said he'll be there. He was there Thursday. I didn't see him yet on Friday, but it seems like he'll be there for everything. Still think he needs to throw out, kick, underhand, hurl. He can kick it for all I care. He needs to throw out a first pitch.
He should like bring someone with him to throw it. Like
I said he should bring out like his kids with him or something. Like let his kids throw it out. Like, or even if like he catches it and somebody else throws it, like they got to get him out there at some point.
Yeah, that's a great idea. The catching. Maybe you just put a mask on him so nobody
or you
goes
just bring him out. Yeah, like the masked singer, and everyone just goes berserk. They play Rooster, and he rips the mask off, and everyone just goes absurdly insane.
Be incredible. But yeah,
sorry, minus 24.5 for Penn State.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. I wanted to hear that he was throwing out game one. I heard it was Schmitty. That I was disappointed. Wheeler would have torn the roof down. That doesn't exist already. But at 4:00, I best bet on the day here. And if you're out there, you're listening to this show, if there's any one bet you're going to take from this show, this is the bet I'll tell you to take. It's a weird one, a little bit of a sicko game, but at 4:00, give me the over. I got it at 48. I think it's sitting at 48.5. The over in Michigan State, Nebraska. Both teams have hit their last 3 overs. The average total in the last 3 Michigan State games is 74.5. The average total in the last 3 Nebraska games is 64. This number's at 48. I'm not kidding when I say this number should be closer to 60 than 50, let alone 48.5. If I was setting this line, I would have made it like when I was doing my normal thing where I set my own lines before I look, I had it at 59.5. So I don't know the last time I've had a total with that big of a gap to what I expected and to what it is.
Good to know. I'm on it.
I love it. I love this over. It reminds me, I've had every week so far this year, I've had I don't get this line of the week. And it was, who beat Clemson? LSU beating Clemson in week 1. It was Oregon last week. I know the one week it was Cal to beat someone at home that they did beat. I forget who they beat. And then the one week it was the USC Michigan State over, and that hit in like the 3rd quarter. So I'm going back to the Michigan State over well here. I might have found a little bit of a cheat code with the Spartans, who play some over football. Aiden Childs, not necessarily one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but kind of electric. He kind of makes some big plays, and when he does make plays happen, they're like these huge, long plays. Or he melts down, and he threw a good amount of picks last year. He's good for a pick 6 here or there, or a pick to change the field. So give me the over at 48 in Michigan State, Nebraska. But let's move to the big game of the night, my last bet of the night on the college football slate. The biggest game, Miami at Florida State. I got it early. I got 3.5. I still like it at 4.5. It's my second favorite play of the day. Give me the U. It's all about the U tonight. Miami's a real deal top 5-ish team, I think, whereas Florida State, I think, is coasting off the success of what might have been a lucky Bama game. They lost that game in success rate and EPA. I know they won the game. Nobody wants to hear those nerd stats, but they got the job done. That's all that matters, really. But you look at the way that defense played against Virginia last week. I don't know how I can expect them to deal with Miami's offensive line full of NFL maulers out there. I'm going with the trenches here, and I'm going with the U. I'm not really usually a Cristobal guy, not a Miami guy, but I think, and there's also some numbers out there. Norvell's been pretty bad as an underdog. I think 3-8 against the spread at home. So throw him up there. I'm riding with the U. Michael Irvin will be cranking that thing on the sidelines. That thing I'll leave up to imagination. But let's talk anything that I didn't mention that jumps off to you about the college football slate, Luke?
Not really. Listen, I don't really know how good Minnesota is. 24.5 feels a little low for that Ohio State line.
Agree. I would lean that way.
Just first jump, first thought. I could maybe throw something there. But no, I'm gonna ride the over. I'm not really gonna be in the big betting space today. I got to leave here in about 2 hours to go down for a really long day at the stadium. But definitely gonna hop on the Michigan State Nebraska over.
Don't worry, we're heading to the NFL here in a minute. Luke,
come on, I'm all ready for that. I need something from you. I need a freaking survivor pick this week.
It's we can absolutely talk about that, because I have a survivor pool that's, I think, 110 people, 33 left after 13 people picked the Rams on Thursday. So only 33 left. I'm one of them. I am historically terrible at survivor. I usually lose in week 1, week 2. So me making it all the way to week 5, this feels like a miracle. I will say the first 4 weeks, I was very risk averse. Buffalo got used. I used Baltimore against Cleveland.
So did I. I've already used Denver, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Buffalo.
I've used Buffalo, Baltimore, Washington. I used Washington in week 1. I'm missing a team. I forget who else I used. And really, it was another really easy one. We're talking about it right here. Arizona. I'm going with Arizona.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I hate it. I hate Arizona. They don't have an identity. Kyler's a loser. Gannon's an idiot. I think the Titans are that bad. Yeah. I think the Titans are truly maybe the worst team we've seen in the 2020s. Like, I'd have to go through and look at the number 1 picks of the last couple years, but man, this is a special bad. Like, they're not just bad.
It's hard. It's hard to be this bad.
It's uncompetitive. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. And Callahan's such a bozo. It's unbelievable. So I'm taking the Cardinals. I don't like that I'm getting cute with it, but I am going with the Cardinals. Real quick, just to put a bow on college football, just a couple other games out there. 12 o'clock, Kentucky at Georgia. I'd lean Georgia minus 19.5, but Kentucky's actually hung a little bit tougher this year than I've thought. K-State at Baylor. Baylor's minus 5.5. I wish that number was just slightly lower. I don't trust that Baylor defense. K-State got it together a little bit last week. Wisconsin at Michigan. Michigan minus 17. I would take if Biff Poggi was the coach, but I don't trust Sharon Moore, so I'm not touching that one. Boston College at Pitt. I lean Pitt minus 6.5, but Pitt's ripped my heart out a couple times now. I can't go back to the well. Clemson at UNC. Cover your eyes. Don't watch. 30. Texas at Florida. I lean under 42.5. Florida's defense is really good. Offense, not so much. Virginia at Louisville. I like Louisville minus 6.5. Anybody who follows me knows I've been a Louisville rider all offseason. I still believe in Louisville, but they've become almost a little bit too trendy this week against Virginia, who won a big game last week. I know there's a letdown factor, but I'm not touching that one. A little too many points. Washington at Maryland. I have no idea. Washington's a 4.5-point favorite. Maryland hasn't trailed yet this season. They haven't really played much, but crazy. That's an interesting game. That's a watch and learn for me. 7 o'clock, Texas Tech at Houston. Texas Tech minus 11.5. I kind of lean that way. 7:30, Mississippi State at Texas A&M. If I were to take anything here, I might take the over at 56.5. I love that A&M offense. I think they are absolutely for real. Minnesota at Ohio State. I lean with Luke there with Ohio State and the points. Colorado at TCU. Lean TCU, putting it on Coach Prime there. Kansas at UCF. I watched UCF last week. That team's bad. Kansas minus 4.5 would be my lean there. And then at 10:30, last play that I'll even talk about, Duke at Cal. I can't bet on Cal after how they looked against San Diego State, but I do think if you gun to head, I would take Cal there. Let's switch it over to the NFL. Let's talk NFL. And real quick, before we go into all the games, let's get the DFS lineup out there for the people. My DFS lineup for the week, I've got Justin Fields at quarterback, which is kind of the same thing every week in DFS, it feels like. Omarion Hampton is my top running back. He's really, really stepped up these last couple of weeks for the Chargers. I'm going with Woody Marks. Seems like D'Amico Ryans is fully buying him as the starter in Houston. 5,400, pretty good value there. Amon-Ra is kind of my star this week that I'm rolling the dice with at Cincinnati. Bad defense, so I think Amon-Ra gets his. George Pickens, I'm spending a little extra dough here for George Pickens to go on the road to the Jets, who have struggled a bit, and no CeeDee Lamb. You have to imagine Pickens is going to be a big part of it. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Give me A.J. Brown, only 6,000. Pretty cheap when you're talking about A.J. Brown for DFS. I know what it's been so far this year. I think we see another Rams-like performance from A.J. So as my third receiver, I don't mind rolling the dice there. Give me Tyler Warren. I usually don't spend at tight end like that, but 4,700. I think he has a big game here. At flex, my DFS play of the week, for only $4,700. Rachaad White. He's going to be the running back for Tampa. Bucky Irving is out. Seattle's been middle of the pack against the run. So give me Rachaad White. Ridiculously cheap there for a starting running back. And then I'm going bargain basement on defense. The third cheapest defense on DraftKings Fantasy. Give me the Houston Texans. They're going against Cooper Rush in Baltimore. Maybe you get a couple turnovers for cheap there from defense. So Fields, Hampton, Marks, Amon-Ra, Pickens, AJ, Warren, Rachaad, Texans. Let's talk the card. 9:30.
Did just want to give you an update really quick. We were talking about the Blue Jays and that matchup. They released their roster for the ALDS.
Yeah.
No Scherzer, no Barrios, no Bassett.
What?
All three are hurt. I didn't realize all three of them were hurt. Scherzer is not hurt. I don't think they like the matchup against the Yankees, which I think is a little bit of a fraudulent mindset. And then obviously no Bichette either. Sorry, into the NFL card. Yeah.
Yankees in 3.
There it is.
Yankees in 3. There it is. Yeah, man, that's brutal for Toronto. But the 9:30. So I let me look at my NFL card here. I coming into this weekend, I usually have my plays pretty locked in to what they're going to be on Monday or Tuesday, and I knew I had 5 plays, let's say, and a teaser. 5 plays and a teaser locked in. Over the last couple days, 4 plays have jumped out to me that I've added to the card. That's rare for me. Luke can kind of talk through some of these with me. And one of those that I've added to the card, I think I'm taking Carson Wentz and the Vikings overseas -3.5. Lord help me. I think I'm betting on Carson Wentz.
Get on the wagon, baby. The wagon of Carson Wentz. Yeah, the Browns suck. They're the worst. Can't imagine it's going to get any better with Dylan Gabriel. The only situation I think you lose this bet is if the Browns say, screw it, and Dylan Gabriel goes out and hurls the ball 40 times and they somehow put up points. But yeah, I mean, that's a sicko game right there. That's bad. I'd probably lean Vikings too.
Hopefully we're recovering from an NLDS win tonight into tomorrow, and we'll be waking up in a good mood, putting the coffee on, watching some Carson Wentz versus Dylan Gabriel overseas. This is what the overseas people think football is. Like, they're like,
it's disgusting, and I was thinking about that last week. They go from having to watch Vikings Steelers to now Vikings. Do they think the Vikings are like the best team ever? Or like what are like the Steelers like God's gift to this earth to them watching DK Metcalf? They might think Metcalf is the best receiver in football, honestly, the way he played last week.
He was so good.
Mark, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why are the Eagles only 4.5-point favorites?
I got it at 3.5. I love it. It's my best bet of the week.
Bizarre to me. And I know you're not a Bronco guy, but even if you are a Bronco guy, I don't know why that line's 4.5. I'm gonna put some shekels on the Eagles there for sure.
It's a 5-unit play for me. It's my biggest bet. It's my biggest bet of the entire weekend.
Other than the obvious.
Well, it's tied.
Oh.
They're both 5-unit plays for me. And Luke and I shared earlier this week. I hope Luke got it in as well. -105 on Hard Rock Bet, where everybody else it was -150. Luke, if you want to, you can pull up a Hard Rock Bet right now and take a look at what Jalen Hurts touchdown is now. -190.
Did I move the line?
We moved the line.
Did
Luke.
my bet move the line?
-190.
Yo, big shout out to Mark too. That was my first time downloading Hard Rock Bet. I've never had it. I thought I downloaded it when I went to Florida last summer because it's like the only book you can use in Florida. Turns out when I deposited the units for Mark, I got 1.5 in bonus back. Complete deposit match. So big shout out to Mark there because I got some money to play with now.
Let's go. We love it. Yeah. Jalen touchdown. There's some -140s you can find out there, whether it's other books. Even when it's -140, I would just find like the biggest favorite of the week that you like your survivor pick, and just put Jalen touchdown with it, and that'll get it to plus money. That was what I was going to do until I was able to sniff out a -105 out in the woods, out in the forest. I was able to find that -105.
You could get like Lions money line with Jalen anytime and get it to like a -103 or something like that.
100%. No, that's 100% what I would suggest. Lions, Cardinals, Bills, whoever you like. And by the way, that's my teaser. I tweeted it out, but I put in, I called them Bill Simmons teasers, Bill Pilled teasers. Bill Simmons loves a 10-point teaser out Billy there. Boy. My teaser of the week, Cardinals +1.5, Lions -0.5, Bills +0.5. Now, you could also just go to a book and bet that money line. It's pretty much the same odds if you just put those 3 money lines together. I put it for 3 units, -125. So those are the 3 favorites that I am confident in covering. But let's get back to the Eagles real fast. I have Eagles -3.5. It's my best bet of the week. Jalen's won 20 straight games. He started and finished. It's a joke that he's only a 3.5-point favorite here. 29-9, 22 and 22, 15-1 against the spread in his career at home. Hurts is 28-3 straight up as a home favorite. Hurts is 15-5 against the spread in home games. He is a dog or favored by less than 6 points. Bo Nix is 4-7 against the spread as a dog. He's lost his last 4 straight up and against the spread as a dog. And then a little defense stats, since everybody wants to break out the nerd stats against the Eagles offense. Opposing quarterbacks are completing 56.9% of their passes against the Eagles, the lowest mark by far in the NFL. So I think Bo Nix has a tough Sunday tomorrow. And give me the Eagles. I'll say 28-14.
Yeah, I think the Birds might just roll, honestly. Like I think they roll hard. 34-14.
I like it. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And those are my 2 biggest plays in the week. 10 units plunked down on the same game on 2 bets. But the other bet that I had coming into the week that I knew I was betting, and this is another try. My weekend this week is going to be determined by how dumb or smart the sharps are. Because I'm fading the sharps. I'm Marky Public this weekend.
Come on,
I'm taking the New York Giants. Give me 2.5 points. I
love the Giants. I love the Giants. Yeah.
Spencer Rattler can't be favored. He's 0-10. In his career. It's ridiculous. He's the second quarterback in the last 50 years to start 0-10. How is this guy favored? It's absurd. Saints have lost the first quarter 44-7 this season. I think the Giants get up early and salt the game away with Scatterboo.
Yeah. Giants is probably my favorite NFL play. I really like the Giants. Whatever that number.
I see 2 out there. You can still... There's a 2.5 on ESPN bet.
I just kind of want the Giants at plus 106 to win the game.
You could do that too. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Like I don't think Spencer Rattler is going to come out in his first ever win and beat the Dart Mania that started last week. I mean, I don't think Jackson Dart's God's gift to this earth, but he looked pretty darn good last week.
He can move around.
I'll get all over the Giants plus 106.
And by the way, plus 115 over on ESPN, plus 2.5 over on ESPN. So ESPN's the plug for your Giants content there, apparently. So these are 3 bets that I did not have coming into the week. These 3 1:00 bets have been added, and let's talk through them a little bit. Tell me if I'm off track here with any of these. And one is Las Vegas traveling to Indianapolis. Give me the over. Geno can't be this bad, right? Like, what's going on with Geno? Like, we watched Geno be extremely competent for 3 years in Seattle. They won 9, 10, and 10 games in his 3 years there, made the playoffs twice. I just think we get somewhat of a bounce back from Geno against a Colts defense that's solid, but I don't think is like special by any means. And Genty seems to have regained his form when he went back to the Michael Myers stand-up stance in the backfield. I think Genty has another big game here, and I think Geno does a little bit better. And I think at this point we can count on Indy to score 24, 27, 30 points a game. So, and the Raiders defense is not very good anyway. Gave up 41 last week and got shredded by Mariota, or 41 the week before, shredded by Mariota. Give me the over here, 47.5.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll roll there too. It's funny, the Colts are actually in consideration for me for a survivor pick, but yeah, I like the over there. If you get any sort of what you got last week from Genty and you get competent football from Geno, the Colts seem like they can match any point total right now. So yeah, I like the over there.
And then another over here, Dallas, New York. Both defenses have been so disappointing. Dallas's offense is somehow playing their best right now without CeeDee Lamb. They've scored 40 points in 2 of the last 3 weeks. Incredible week last week. The Jets, we're talking about a Jets team that gave up 34 to Pittsburgh, 30 to Buffalo, 29 to Tampa, 27 to Miami. I don't think the Jets defense is anything to write home about. So give me the over in that one as well.
Yeah, I like it. That Cowboys defense is something you write. You want to talk about worst team of the 2020s and the Titans? That defense is bad.
Yeah. One of the worst defenses we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really bad. And the Jets are just the Jets. So yeah, I like the over there.
And I lean Dallas too, but
I do as well.
The reason that I would lean Dallas is my concern with that defense mostly has to do with a lack of pass rush and a bad secondary. And I don't know if Justin Fields can even really take advantage of that. So I'm not going to go ahead and bet the Cowboys because I don't trust that defense as far as I can throw it. But I would lean that way. If you're in a pool, you're picking every game, I would pick Dallas there. But I'm taking the over. And then my last lean of the week, at 1:00. This game is ugly. UGLY, no alibi, game of the week. Miami at Carolina. Dolphins money line?
That's one I can confidently tell you that I'm just not going to watch.
Yeah.
Like if they put it on if they put it on Red Zone tomorrow, that means that I have to go get another beer. That's that game for me. That is disgusting.
I get it. Tyreek Hill's out. It feels like this line should be 3.5 for Miami. I know they're bad, but they've looked like somewhat competent for 2 straight weeks now. Like Buffalo, they kept it close. They beat the crappy Jets. Like, are the Jets worse than the Panthers? That's a dark question on Joe, but I think they're at least like equal. Like I'm going to go with Miami, but I'm not confident. Let's get back on track here. This was a play that was on my card. And to be honest, though, it still scares me. This game still scares me. Give me the Chargers -2.5 against the Commanders. Jaden's first game back. You have to imagine it's going to be rusty. The reason you get concerned is that Chargers. No,
I didn't think he was playing this week for some reason. He is.
Am
playing.
I off here?
Hold on,
I'm pretty sure.
I think I was. I'm not. No, yeah, you're right. He's playing. Sorry, I completely missed that. I missed every single thing in the NFL yesterday.
No, that's understandable.
He's playing.
You were Big J journalism at Citizens Bank Park at the big press conference. That's so cool, by the way, to see Luke put out that tweet. I always get proud of my guy over there. I'm always hyped.
Yeah, I like the Chargers though too. I can't lie.
Yeah, the concern is the O-line is decimated right now, and that's why they lost to the Giants last week. But the one thing the Giants have is that D-line. Like, that D-line is their one strength as a team. It just felt like that might have just been like a nightmare matchup for the Chargers, given the O-line decimation that happened in the game. And then you come back and you play Washington, who doesn't have a very scary front. So just like, can the Jets take advantage of the Cowboys' weakness? I don't know if the Commanders can take advantage of the Chargers' weakness here. So I'm going to go with the Chargers -2.5. And on the other side, like, I think that Chargers defense will be able to step up against Jaden, who's coming back probably still a little banged up and maybe not running all over the place like he'd prefer to be running out there. So give me the Chargers -2.5. And then my last play of the week on the NFL slate, Monday Night Football, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars +3.5 at the Kansas City Chiefs. I know everybody, including me, is kind of just saying, well, the Chiefs are back. And to be honest, gun to my head, I think the Chiefs are probably going to the Super Bowl. But I feel like it would be
Chiefs Bills AFC Championship.
It's
and guess who finds a way to win?
Yeah, it's a lock it in. We all know what's going to happen. But I will say I feel like we get a little diversion here where the Jags actually win on Monday night, or at the very least, it's like, dead heat the whole game, and we're all saying, like, what's wrong with the Chiefs? And then they get Rashee Rice back in 2 weeks, and then that saves them again. So I think Jacksonville actually takes care of business this week and wins on Monday Night Football +3.5. It's probably my third favorite play of the week behind the Eagles and Giants. So, and I mentioned Arizona. I'm taking them in Survivor. I mentioned the Lions. They're part of my teaser at Cincinnati. I would lean both Arizona and Detroit to cover those spreads. I think.
Yeah, I was going to say that bad. One more play that I like. I'm going to take the Lions -9.5.
They cover spreads.
I think the Bengals are bad. Really bad. And I think the Lions are really, I think early in the season, honestly, I think the best thing for this Lions team was losing week 1. I think them losing to the Packers, because now I don't think the Packers are bad. I still think they're good, but I think those teams after that game are kind of trending in a little bit of a different direction. Like, I know you were huge on the Packers. I don't know if you're still as huge on the Packers as you were 4 weeks ago. I think the Lions are, maybe the Packers are just kind of staying right here, but I think the Packers are staying right here, and I think the Lions are going up.
It looks
they put up 52, 38, 34. They put up 34 against that Browns defense. I think Lions -9.5. I like that a lot. I don't think the Bengals are good. I'm just waiting for Zach Taylor to get fired.
By the way, this is going to save his job. Burrow getting hurt saved his job.
Again.
Because if Burrow was out there, they would have won 8 or 9 games this year. This team was not going to just win like 11 games with Burrow.
No.
Be a contender in any way. They would have won 8 or 9, and that would have gotten Zach Taylor fired. But Burrow being hurt is actually going to save his job, despite them like picking in the top 5.
Yeah,
it's actually hilarious.
They're going to go 5-12, and they're going to pull the Burrow got hurt again. Let's give Zach Taylor one more year. And then Burrow's probably going to get hurt again next year at some point, and it's probably going to save Zach Taylor's job again.
Never-ending cycle.
Give me the Lions
it's
-9.
insane. Yeah, I lean that way as well. I also lean Buffalo, really putting it on New England on Sunday night.
Yeah.
They're in my teaser, but
this is also a uniform bet, by the way.
They're wearing
those
the all
Bills
whites, right?
all white snow.
Yeah.
It's a uniform bet.
It does feel like, should they save that for when there is snow?
Yeah, why are you using them against the Patriots too? Can you imagine Eagles Bills 3 days after Christmas and it snows and the Bills wear that jersey?
That'd be sick.
Eagles would probably lose the game. Can't lie.
Yeah, they got to save it again. They got to use them use them again if it snows. Like change the jerseys the day of. Be like, sorry, it snowed. We're wearing the whites. But I also lean with the over in that game. I don't know the numbers, but I know Drake May overs have been unreal throughout his young career so far. So, or maybe it was team total overs, but I know the numbers towards the over have been strong for May. So I probably lean Bills and the over on Sunday Night Football. Then we've got 2 games just to close it out here. 2 games that I don't have a bet on or a take on. And one of them is Houston at Baltimore. Houston's a 1.5 point favorite. The total's 40.5. Do you have any lean on the Cooper Rush Ravens here?
Honestly, it's a bad game. I have respectfully no opinion on that football game.
And then a good game that I don't have an opinion on that we're going to close out the show here with and let Luke go for a bit. Tampa Bay at Seattle. This is a good game, really interesting. Tampa Bay's banged up. I believe in Seattle. I think they're legit. Number 1 team in DVOA, by the way. Not that means everything, but I think they're a legit playoff team. I think Tampa, it's hard for me to ever bet against Baker. Even when they're decimated by injury, we saw the way that guy fought last week. And I say it all the time. If I wasn't born and put on this planet to root for Jalen Hurts as my quarterback, Baker would be the type of guy who I'd want as the quarterback of my favorite team. That guy, you always feel like he's going to go make the big play at the end of the game. He's going to bring you back. He's going to close the game out. Baker's a stud, and it's hard for me to ever want to bet against Tampa, honestly. So I think I normally would be on Seattle here, but I love myself some Baker.
Just really quick, too. Yeah, I do love me some Baker, except when he plays the Eagles, because he talks a ton of crap, and I love it when he plays everyone else. Really quick, I know we're in the football segment, but the Phillies did release the NLDS roster. Banks,
that's a good way to close it.
Banks, Luzardo, the only big one for me, which I expected. I wrote a little 26-man NLDS roster prediction a few weeks ago, and I had Meza in and Trevino out just because them to have another lefty, just in case Banks is down, they have to save Strom. If they would have to go to a Meza, I think they'd rather go there over a Trevino. So it's Banks, Luzardo, Meza, Sanchez, Strom, Suarez as the lefties. Righties are Bueller, Duran, Kerkering, Nola, Robertson, and Taiwan Walker. Catchers, obviously, Marshawn, JT. Infielders, Bohm, Bryce, Kemp, Sosa, Stott, Turner. Outfielders, Bader, Castellanos, Kepler, Marsh, and Wilson. And DH is Kyle Schwarber. Really not a single surprise on there. I think that's kind of what everybody predicted. I think the only possible one was that last bullpen spot between Trevino and Meza. And hey, maybe they get into an NLCS and they need more righties, and that would probably be a Trevino spot, but no real surprises there.
My take, my only take on the roster is that I don't see a scenario that you can ever use Taiwan Walker in a game that's anything within 6 runs either way. So I wish that was Trevino. Not that I think you'd feel great about using Trevino in that spot. I wish it was Trevino over Taiwan, but I also understand why it's not, I guess. So no real take on
the Dodgers released theirs too. And like we kind of predicted, very, very left-handed heavy, which 1, 2, 3, 4 5 lefties, Banda, Dreyer, Kershaw, Scott, Vesia. And then they have Sasaki, Glasnow, Sheehan, Snell. They have Snell listed as a righty, but he's a lefty, so that should be 6 lefties.
That's fun.
Trinan, Yamamoto, and then Will Smith is on the roster. They're carrying
3 catchers.
They're carrying 3 catchers. Smith, rushing, Rorvet, Rojas, Paez, Otani, Muncy, Kim, Hernandez, Freeman, Edmund, Dean, Call, Betts.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of what everyone predicted on both sides, honestly. Not really any surprises. I am surprised they're carrying 3 catchers, but that's basically they have to have a backup until Will Smith is fully healthy. Because if you basically carry Will Smith and one more catcher and Rorvet or Rushing gets hurt, then there's a position player back there catching. So, yeah. That's
my
really
question there is that would only be for that game, right? Like, because if someone got hurt, you get someone before the next game.
Yes. Yeah.
So that really means to me that, like, he can't catch at all. And I know that they said that he wasn't going to start a catcher.
Maybe they see him as can pinch hit until he can catch, which is probably, I mean, that's why he was also on the wild card roster. I don't believe they used him at all in the wild card round, but yeah. So no surprises.
That's a big
really
deal
on either side. We're 8 hours away.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that downgrade from Will. I mean, he's the top 5 catcher in baseball.
He might be better than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to see what he did even this year specifically.
He had a good year.
But
he had a good year.
I know, Rorvet is not bringing the same power to the lineup with his 636 OPS.
Yeah, I mean, Will
Smith
had a 296 average with a 901 OPS.
901?
Yeah, he had a really good year. Typically, righties, he had a 924 OPS against righties and 836 against lefties. He hit 971 at home this year OPS. Yeah, he had a
17 homers in 110 games.
Granted, it also helped that he had 1,000 OPS in May and 1,000 OPS in July. He had around a 7.6 in the last 2 months, but yeah.
I was going to ask Jack about it because I felt like it was like the most underrated thing about this series that Will Smith isn't really in it, but they're saying they're going to use him as a pinch hitter, and I feel like I didn't want to bring it up in case he did start, but now that there is 3 catchers out there, I don't think it's being talked about enough how much of a downgrade that is for the Dodgers. He'd be hitting 4, 5, 6 right in the heart of that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, they figured it out in the wild card, but yeah, it's big.
That's huge.
They'll probably have Muncy hit 4th, maybe. They'll probably go Tani, Betts, Freeman. They like Teoscar in the 5, except after that wild card series, maybe he hits cleanup. I think I'd rather have Teoscar than, especially against lefties. That is the X factor for them, really, because he crushes lefties. And I think that is a guy that could kill you this series just because how many lefties we're going to throw at them. But yeah. No surprise.
I wrote down their extreme split guys as Shohei and Muncy, especially for lefties, are the 2 guys you really want to get lefties in for. And I wrote Pages and Rojas as the 2 guys.
Mark, I'm telling you right now, if it is past the 6th inning and Ohtani is up to bat, I think it's going to be Matt Strahm every single time.
Has to be.
Every single time.
We get a Banks Ohtani AB?
If a Sanchez struggles, if a starter struggles and Ohtani comes up in the 5th and maybe it's a tie game and 1 on, 2 outs.
Or maybe that's Ranger.
Maybe they would go to Banks. It is Strahm. Strahm did a lot of research this week on Shohei Ohtani because that's going to be his guy for the next 6 days.
Trying to see if there's any Ranger Ohtani numbers out there. He is 1 for 2 with a double and a strikeout. But yeah, it's got to be. I said I don't want Shohei facing a non-Duran righty until Nola pitches. Whenever that ends up being, I don't think he should face a Kerkering, a Robertson, any of those guys. But what I was saying, Freeman leans, you probably want a lefty in for Freeman, but it's not extreme.
It's not extreme, no. Oh. But yeah, in a perfect world, Strahm throws a 7th inning at the top of the lineup, and it's, Shohei, Betts, Freeman. And if Strahm can get through that's your biggest. What's going to decide some of these games is going to be the top of the Dodgers order the 3rd time around.
Absolutely.
3rd time around.
And I was trying to explain this to my wife, actually. The Dodgers have the advantage probably 2 through 4 in the starting rotation. The Dodgers have the advantage if you take, let's say there's 3 stars against our 3 hitting stars. I'd put our 3 probably up there with anybody else in baseball.
For sure. We're probably the 2nd best top 3. But
the Dodgers have the advantage there. I think where we have the advantage is that bullpen, obviously. and it's 4 through 9 in the lineup.
Agree. And I said the other day, I think the biggest key to the series is 4 through 9 in our lineup.
Absolutely.
If Bohm
totally
gets
agree.
going and Stott gets going and
Marsh Bader.
You get some production out of Kepler, and maybe even in the power standpoint, they can put some runs up.
What do you get from JT? Yeah, all that
big,
stuff.
Big.
All that stuff. JT, huge X factor too.
Yes.
It's not been great.
Had a good first half. Kind of fell off a little in late August, September, but
yeah, he started slow and then got really hot, and was pretty good up until like a month after the All-Star break, and then I think he's got like a 600 OPS over the last month or two, so not fantastic to look at, but we're excited, we're hopeful. We think we got another show coming Saturday with a Game 5 preview next week. So we'll have to bring back Luke if that is the case. But man, it's going to be a fun month here. It's going to be a fun run. Everybody lock in. We need everybody in the same spot, all playoffs if you can be, whatever it is. Everybody lock in. Thanks for joining Luke. Everybody follow Luke at Arcaini Luke. Everybody check out his stuff over on Crossing Broad. He's going to be a content machine over there over this next, however long this playoff run goes.
A lot of long days.
Long days ahead. And I was saying this, the month, if 2022 is our experience with it going to the World Series, a month of playoff baseball feels like 4 months, and I'd have it no other way.
It's the longest days
Phil's
ever.
country. Let's rock.